Someone in the comments recently called me a doll-faced babe, and I've been thinking about it ever since, because it's true. Hello, this is Ash from the past, talking to you in the present about predicting the future. I came across an article called How to Predict the Future and 5 Ways to Be Ready for Anything, and I thought, content. The writer of the article, Jane McGonigal, no relation apparently, is the director for game research and development at the Institute for the Future, which is absolutely the best name for a workplace ever. Apparently in the 70s they predicted that the telephone would be an instrument for change. In the 90s they mapped how health would become a focus out with the walls of healthcare institutions. That was really hard to say. And they predicted that I would make this video. And you can't prove that they didn't. McGonigal has written a whole book on how to predict the future, and this article has pulled out 5 highlights. So I'm going to read through what we have to do and then do it. I'm going to predict the future. The first tip is to take a 10-year trip into the future. Is there a time machine at the Institute for the Future, or is McGonigal going to tell us how we do that? You may be familiar with the saying, the future starts now. Catchy as it may be, the future doesn't start now, or tomorrow, or next month. Anxious about the future? Don't worry, you're stuck in the present. For professional futurists, I love that. I want to be a professional futurist. For professional futurists, it starts 10 years from today. 10 years is enough time for society and your own life to become dramatically different. I don't know, it feels like the world changes really fast all the time. Well, maybe that actually proves her point. The world will change a lot in 10 years. Just done predicted the future. Thinking on a 10-year timeline will lift the ceiling on your imagination and give you that magical feeling of time spaciousness to achieve transformative change. Now I know how this article found me. This is how I speak. It will help you open your mind, take in new information, reduce your blind spots, increase your empathy, set more optimistic goals, and see a much bigger picture. It's like therapy. Step 2, be ridiculous at first. Well, most of my YouTube videos are ridiculous at first, so I'm already on board with this one. At the Institute for the Future, we like to say any useful statement about the future should at first seem ridiculous. Oh, they do, Institute for the Future. They do. It's the possibilities that make us say, that's ridiculous, that could never happen, or I can't even imagine it. Those are the possibilities we have to spend time taking seriously. I do this. When I was a kid, I told people that I wanted to be a filmmaker. And when I was a teenager, I still wanted to be a filmmaker, even though all the advice was to get into a field with job security, good wages. Joke's on them, because those things don't exist anymore. We need to prepare our collective imagination for unimaginable possibilities. So if they do happen, we're not frozen with anxiety or stuck in old ways. Yes, McGonigal. Any future scenario that you might instinctively dismiss reveals a potential blind spot in your imagination. If something feels unimaginable, that's the tip-off that this is an essential future to start thinking about. Okay, tip 3. Look for clues. A sculptor works with clay, a computer programmer with code, a chef with ingredients. Every form of creativity has its own raw material. For futurists, the raw material is clues. To find future clues, you need to develop a way of observing the world in which you spot weird stuff that others overlook. I know that in every single video I'm like, that's what I do in my channel. But this is what I do in my channel. It's about weird stuff. I think my prediction for the future is gonna be strange, and I think that the Institute for the Future is gonna like it. I actually saw on TikTok recently that winking is no longer cool, so there's a clue. People will stop winking in pursuit of social status. You can see signals all around you. For example, the first time I saw a no drone zone sign in my local park, I knew it was a signal that drone technology was becoming widespread enough to deserve its own signage. That makes sense. I was also kind of startled the first time I saw a no drone sign, because I knew that my immediate future was gonna be not that fun. Follow the trail of clues wherever it takes you. I feel like I'm about to go on a scavenger hunt. Tip 4, turn the world upside down. Life imitates art. If your imagination feels stuck in the present, then rewrite the facts of today. Make a list of up to 100 things that are true today, then flip them upside down. I like this, but 100 things is a lot. Rewrite every fact so that the opposite is true. For example, you could say that libraries are mostly quiet spaces. Flip that fact upside down. 10 years from today, libraries are loud, raucous, wild spaces. Oh, McGonagall, I don't know how to break it to you. Libraries are... they're an endangered species. If thinking about the future of democracy, you could say that today there's a minimum voting age. Flip that upside down. 10 years from now, there's no minimum voting age. Babies can vote. How does it change politics? I don't know if she's trying to be satirical now. Turning the world upside down can help clarify what changes you want in society and your own life. So I'm not gonna write things that I'm happy with in the list because I don't want to come out of this making my life worse. Tip 5, build urgent optimism. Urgent optimism is a highly motivating, resilient mindset made up of 3 psychological strengths: mental flexibility, realistic hope, and future power. I think this is going to be easy for me. As I discovered in the Big 5 personality test, I have positive objective well-being, which means that even if everything sucks, I'm still happy. Mental flexibility is the ability to recognize that anything can become different in the future, even things that seem impossible to change today. Realistic hope is a balance of positive and shadow imagination. Shadow imagination. I love it when you learn a new term and the possibility of what it means is infinite. Shadow imagination makes me think of ghost Pokemon. It's knowing which threats it makes sense to worry about and which new solutions, technologies, and ideas it makes sense to be excited about. So I think shadow imagination in this sense is just the opposite of positive imagination. Aww. It's kind of cute that they picked a gentler term than negative to be the opposite of positive, but it did get my hopes up because I'm a realistic hoper. Future power is a feeling of control and agency to directly impact the future by taking intentional action today. All right, time to predict the future. It's said to start by taking a 10-year trip into the future, but I think it makes more sense to start with the list. That's the method flipped upside down. So what's true? We can't say for sure that anything is objective. Cool. I'm going to do some things that are personal, some things that are societal, and then miscellaneous. Right now, my channel is small, so 10 years from now, my channel will be big. Really thinking outrageously. I mean, the stuff in my own life is pretty safe. Like, right now I live in Scotland. In 10 years' time, I won't live in Scotland. It's not that I don't like Scotland. I just like to immerse myself in other cultures. Thinking a bit more ambitiously, I haven't won an Oscar, and in 10 years' time, I will have won an Oscar. Why not? And I'd like a free slap with it too, please. I currently don't have the ability to teleport, and in 10 years' time, I will have the ability to teleport. I really want this to happen. If I could teleport, I would just be traveling around the world all the time. If I start appearing in places unexpectedly and quite fast, then my dreams have come true. Thinking societally, it was proposed this week that Scotland will have another referendum next year. So Scotland is in the United Kingdom right now, and in 10 years' time, it won't be. I'm manifesting it, despite the fact I just said that I won't be in Scotland in 10 years' time. But regardless, we deserve this. I read the other day about a thing called skimpflation. This is where items and services are getting lower in quality but remaining the same price. And I think, because culture is a pendulum, that we might move away from buying lots of cheap stuff into buying fewer, higher quality, longer lasting things, if there's any left. I really hope this happens because we can't just keep generating waste. Let's hope that 10 years from now we've actually made some progress on that. Is that outrageous? Anyway, looking for miscellaneous clues, I decided to turn to the news. The mites that do what the Sims call woohoo on our faces have a problem. So in 10 years' time, our faces will become the free love mite fest that they once were? Apparently we're killing the mood because of our skincare routines. So maybe that's a clue. Maybe skincare routines will go out of fashion because they change the ecosystem of our faces too much. Skincare routines are the new smoking. You heard it here first. Really took a lot of effort not to wink there. Netflix cuts 300 more jobs after subscriptions fall. So this has been in the news for a while, the death of Netflix. Some people are feeling the effects of inflation and are cutting back on luxuries like entertainment subscriptions. And I suppose if you only signed up to Netflix because you were in lockdown and needed something to do, but now you can get back to whatever it was you used to do, then you don't really need it anymore. I don't think that Netflix will be gone in 10 years. They've been talking about introducing an ad subscription tier where you can see adverts, and I think that's coming. But I think that we'll engage with media differently. Maybe we'll have to be in the metaverse to watch media. You won't go to a physical place, you'll just zap into a place. I guess that's a sort of teleportation, but it's not the kind I want. I want the real deal. I want to look out at the rain and think, oh well, and then just zap to Bali and go a walk there. Or just go even further and zap to the sun and die warm and happy and absorbing lots of vitamin D. I kind of enjoy predicting the future. Maybe I should keep doing this. The thing is, I won't find out if my predictions come true for quite a long time, but maybe I'll check in a year or something and see if any of them have happened yet. I think the whole thing about spotting signs is really interesting, and I think that's something I'm going to start doing. I like this idea of thinking about what's happening now and how that will be in the future. I like thinking about my own future, and I like this feeling that there's infinite possibilities. I bury the philosophical idea that everything is determined and there is no free will, and just do my positive thinking thing. Even if it is all determined, then it should make it easier to predict, and then that gets you thinking about different futures. And for me, the thought of what might happen is quite motivational. Since I can't talk about what will happen in the next 10 years, I'm going to talk about what has happened this year, because at the end of last year, I wrote down some goals for 2022. And so far, a few of them have been accomplished. Get 1,000 subscribers, get 4,000 watch hours, and become a YouTube partner, which happened, and it is entirely thanks to you guys. I am so grateful. You absolutely all deserve a collective name now, so as soon as I think of one, we'll start using it. You know, a Greg, a Curtis Town, a Beautiful Doves, something like that.
Hey, it's Editing Ash. I just got to this bit and it hit me. Maybe we should be called the Doll-Faced Babes. Let me know what you think.
But these goals all stemmed from things that I was working towards and doing, and it was about making them happen and celebrating when they did. It's almost as if I took the clues from my own life, interpreted where they were heading, and then set the goals based on that. I hope this all makes sense. The algorithm has to stop sending me really complicated topics to try and explain. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what you think is going to happen in the future. And if you have a suggestion for a name, put it out there. Anything is welcome. At this moment, we have nothing. Maybe you could predict what the name will be, and then it will be the name. And then it's that whole cycle thing again. See you next time.